think probably our biggest success story is we had a sibling group of 5 come into the orphanage. The oldest child was 13, was HIV positive, down through, to a baby. And we were working, we don't place kids, like we're not the adoption agency. We sometimes will, try to get a word out in our circles about, kids, hard to place kids that may be available. So the agency that was working with the orphanage wanted to split these kids up, and they were very bonded. And so we directly contacted the agency and said, give us a year. Just give us a year. And these kids are now living happily in a home in Texas. Everybody's doing well. And I think had we not intervened in that, which we don't regularly do in the placing of the kids, I think they would have been split up. And I think the oldest girl would still be in Ethiopia.
As someone who's interested in eventually founding their own nonprofit, I wanted to get some insight into why others have chosen to follow that path. Forming a nonprofit isn't something you get rich doing, and seems to go against what conventional social norms tell us to do to become successful. You oftentimes work long hours for little to no financial gain.
My name is Amy Richards, and I am a co-founder of my nonprofit. It's called Ethio-American Family Services, and it's an organization that we started basically to provide services to orphans in Ethiopia or at-risk children in Ethiopia, and also to adopted Ethiopian adoptees once they come here and may have issues.
I questioned Dr. Richards about her motivation behind why she chose to establish Ethio-American Family Services. Why Ethiopia? Why worry about people thousands of miles away at all?
Well, I have 2 Ethiopian adopted kids, and when I adopted the first one, she was a baby, and my other co-founder who I met during the adoption process, we traveled to Ethiopia to get them. She was adopting 2 older girls, and she ended up adopting 3, which is a different story. But so their orphanage was horrible. I mean, it was just, there wasn't enough of anything. The staff cared about the kids, but there weren't enough of them to provide for their needs. There wasn't enough food. Like, my daughter was 10 months old, and her diaper consisted of a rag with a plastic bag tied around her. There just wasn't enough of anything. And the kids just kind of accepted that because they didn't know any better, of course.
Now that I understand why Amy does what she does, I begin to inquire about the goals of her organization and what she hopes to accomplish.
Like I said, we never, had delusions of grandeur that we were going to save the world. But we look at it like, each individual child that came through our orphanage, as opposed to another orphanage, has a better shot, of just not having so many scars.
She's modest about what the organization has been able to achieve over there. But the fact is, they help the most vulnerable segment of the population, not only providing resources, but also education. As many of these children will go further in their studies than they would have at home, with some even going to college. I began to wonder what the communities in Ethiopia do to assist, or if there's anything they can do at all.
The idea of fostering or foster care in some of these countries just doesn't fly. Like, if you're an extended family member, they'll take in extended family. And we've tried to set up like foster home situations, and it's a very foreign concept to take in a stranger's child. Orphanages are the safety net for these kids.
I asked Dr. Richards what the Ethiopian government does to fix these social problems that contribute to this increase in orphans.
The government has been involved in trying to keep adoption ethical, which is a monumental task because it's, agencies want to make money, and if the child's the product, ethics kind of are sketchy sometimes. There was a boom in Ethiopian adoptions for a while, for several years. And, more adoptions mean more money. The agencies are in there supporting because that's where their product is. But now, international adoption in general is decreasing. So, but in Ethiopia specifically, because of a lot of the crackdowns on ethics, which is a good thing. But the agencies thus leave, to seek children elsewhere, and they take their money with them.
Albert Einstein once said, "The world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it."
I think people have to do their part. Like I said, you're not going to change the world necessarily, but, if lots of people are changing little pieces of the world, then significant change will be made.
This was the insight I was searching for when I sought out to interview individuals in the nonprofit sector. The world we live in is complex, at times threatening, and all too often unjust to the most vulnerable. The only way to progress as a global society is for us all to do our part. And if everyone did that, the world becomes less dangerous. Dr. Amy Richards and her colleagues at Ethio-American Family Services choose to do something about it. And if you so choose, you can go online to ethioamericanfamily.org and become a monthly sponsor or even give a one-time gift.